Okay, today we're going to talk about using the SermonBrowser plugin for WordPress. So we're going to log into our WordPress admin panel. And along your left-hand side of your navigation, you'll notice you have a navigation link called Sermons. If we click on the down arrow there, we have a couple of selections. Now, depending on your security level as your user role, you may have more or less options. This particular user is set up as an editor, so we have the ability to edit sermons, to add sermons, look at files, preachers, adjust series and services, and also there's a help section. So let's start at the top. If we click on sermons, this will simply give us a listing of all the existing sermons that have been uploaded. We also have a filter here at the top. We could filter for particular ones if there's something we want to search for. Also, you'll notice along the right-hand side we can edit, delete, and view a particular sermon. The next selection in our navigation is to add a sermon, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So if we need to upload or add a new sermon, we'll click on the link to add a sermon. We'll put in the name of the sermon title. So we'll say today's sermon is Men of Faith. We can put in different tags, and these are simply just keywords from the sermon that someone may search on when they search using the tag function or your search function on your website. Now, we may need to create a new preacher, or we can select the existing preacher or preachers. Well, you can only select one preacher, so we would select them from the new or from the drop down, or we can create a new preacher here. Also, if this is part of a series, then you can select that series. Now, probably you want to just create a series called Miscellaneous, or just a generic series, because it will select a series for you. Now we'll put in the date of the sermon, and this one was this past Sunday. And then we can select which service it was, whether it was a special event, Sunday evening, Sunday morning, our midweek meeting, or we can create a new service. So depending on what your regular scheduled services are, you can create these or edit the existing ones as needed. So we'll say this was the Sunday morning service, and notice that it defaults in the time based on what we select from the service. So if we change this to Sunday evening, notice that it changes the time for us. We can also override that default time, but probably for the most part, most people aren't too concerned as to when the actual sermon was given. They're really looking for the title, maybe the preacher, any kind of series or tag files. Also, you have the ability here to add a Bible passage. So let's say if this is Men of Faith, maybe the basis of this was Hebrews chapter 11. So we can put that in there. And you can have a from and a to. So from Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, and we can go Hebrews chapter 11 through the end of the chapter. Now, actually attaching the sermon itself, the MP3 file, or it could be a Word document or a PDF if you want to upload that. But if you're simply wanting to upload an audio file, in this case we're going to say upload a new one, upload a new file. And that'll give us this browser window, so we'll click on Browse. Now I'm using a Macintosh, so my file search may look a little differently than yours, but I'm simply going to navigate to an existing folder on my system. Now, notice that the files here, my file sizes are below 10 megabytes in most cases, and that's really what you want to focus on for the SermonBrowser, at least when your site is hosted on another server. If your MP3 files are greater than 10 megabytes, then you may run into some timeout issues, and I'll talk about that in another video. But just for the purposes of today's video, this is simply how to add. So now we'll click on Save, and now the actual MP3 will be uploaded from your local machine up to the web server, and as soon as that's done, the screen will refresh, and then your sermon will be available for your users.